Heart of the Nation presents Forum, a spontaneous and lively audience dialogue informing today's Catholics about their church, their world, and their lives. Now, here's your Forum host for today, Father Liam Kidney.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And welcome to Forum, coming to you from Los Angeles. Today, we're talking about a vocation, but a very unique vocation. A vocation that existed maybe many, many years ago, once upon a time, in a very distant land, when it was very difficult to find a single, unmarried person. Today, things have changed. We find single people everywhere today. We have single bars, we have single restaurants, we have magazines for singles. Some people even tell us that television commercials are orientated towards singles. So today, it seems to be popular to be single. Now, my question is, are people single by choice, or are people single by situation? They have no other option. Or do people really choose to be single? Is there such a thing as a vocation to the single life? Is the single life a lifestyle to be blessed and to be admired? Looking at this question with us today is this panel of ours. A panel that blesses us today with insight. First of all, we have Father Dave Heaney. Father Dave Heaney is an associate pastor at St. Bede's Church in La Cañada, California. Father Heaney has been involved with young adults and has led workshops and retreats for singles. Father Heaney is a familiar, longtime Heart of the Nation host with great moments from American Catholic history. Then we have Rosemary Jerger. Rosemary is with the Catholic singles organization called Choice. The Choice program is a singles weekend which focuses on personal reflection and sharing with others. Choice's focus is on the spiritual and emotional dimensions of life which are unique for the single Catholic young adult. And Marianne Chaka. Marianne Chaka is a campus minister at the Newman Center at the California State University Long Beach campus. And we're delighted to have you with us today, all right? Our audience today is made up pretty much of singles. And let me tell you, it was not difficult to find singles. Here we have this young lady right here. Tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Gail Sullivan, and I am single. And what I would like to ask you is that I'm committed to be free. I enjoy my single life and who I am. And sometime down the line, I'd like to be married and be committed to someone. But in the process, I'm in this limbo. Now, what are some ways that I can fulfill myself as a single adult with my church, or find ways to do things with other singles in our society without feeling like an outcast because I don't have a guy around my arm, or to go to a party and to hang out by myself and not be looked at as, how come she doesn't have someone with her? And to be free to be by myself and comfortable with that.
One way is to go on a Choice Weekend.
Now, are you telling us a Choice Weekend is a place to meet people?
Actually, it is. It's a place to find yourself, and it's a place to share with other people who are also single, who have similar needs and feelings. And it's also a chance to meet your church and to think about your relationship with God and maybe grow in your relationship with the Lord as well.
But like on the Choice Weekend, are people kind of supported in the idea of being single, that it's all right to be single? Or is it more the idea of, you know, you're kind of stuck with it, so you better adjust to it?
No, it's said that we're okay to be single. You know, that's one of the major things that we focus on the weekend and after the weekend, is that you said limbo, you know, and what we're trying to emphasize is that being single is not a state of limbo. No matter how long you're single, whether you commit yourself to that for your whole life or whether you're just single for a short period of time, what you do while you're single, what you do in service is a way of finding freedom and learning about yourself.
I recently read an article in the LA Times that said that women really, 93% of all women really do enjoy being single and having their freedom. I know I do. And I'm wondering if as many men feel the same way.
Well, there's only one man up there, and that's Father Heaney, so...
I enjoy being single.
By choice? I mean...
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the people that you see that come and talk to you on your weekends, do you have as many men as you do women?
Sometimes yes and sometimes no. I think there are men who enjoy being single, but they're not as, sometimes men aren't as willing to share about it. They kind of keep it to themselves. I think we're getting to the point now that where men more and more are open with their feelings. And we recently had a retreat weekend where there were more men than women, and that was really great, you know.
But are people being single today, you know, you're talking about enjoying being single. Are people enjoying being single because they're afraid of marriage? Are they just saying, I don't want to get involved in that. There are too many problems. I don't want to get involved in that, and it's much easier to be single.
I'd be a little afraid about generalizing about all people or men in general. It seems to me that some of the men, a lot of the older single men I know, have a hard time being alone, even for a short time, or that it's hard for them to really take care of themselves. And on the other hand, and I don't think this is original to me, but there is a fear of commitment, and that it might sound ironic, but that somehow the inability to be alone and the fear of commitment are really two sides of the same coin. I think dealing with both fears could be beneficial.
See, what I want to get at here is, and we have a lot of single people in the audience here. I mean, are you single by choice? Are you hoping that someplace down the line you're going to meet the right guy if you're a girl? Or are you going to meet the right girl if you're a guy? I mean, where am I at in this whole thing right here? This girl over here.
My name's Lolly, and I'm single. I was married in the past, but I've been single for a long time now, and I love it. I enjoy being single. I'm in my 30s, and I have 2 children, and I find that my time is taken up with my career, with things that I do, choices that I make about my life. I don't want to include someone else in those choices. So I really enjoy being single by choice. Do you think that that is changing? Do you think people are doing it more by choice? I guess that's your question, too. Than they used to be. It used to be traditional. You got out of college, you got married, and you had children, and that was what we all supposedly wanted.
Or you became a priest or a nun or something like that.
Yeah, one or the other. Right. But now, you know, I know a lot of...
No, you cannot become both.
But it seems now there are more people choosing to be single and saying, maybe I don't want to be married or I don't want a family.
I think that's great that it is by choice. I mean, I don't believe anyone should be in any walk of life because there was nothing else available or all the other options were gone. I think that whether someone is single or married, I hope that it is something that they consciously want to do. But what really should be common among either, and I think this is really what God is interested in, not so much God is up in his heaven waiting for you to get married or be a baker or, I mean, he's not so much interested in those kind of how you end up, but are you loving? Are you sharing your life with anyone? Are you projecting yourself into any project? Are you extending yourself to someone else? Or is it just this kind of solitary internal living only for myself? Whether single or married, are you coming out of yourself and giving of yourself to someone else, either completely in marriage or to many people as a single or to a job or a career? You know, I think that's what our Lord is interested in.
I disagree. I think everybody wants to be married, priest included. And if you're choosing to be single, it's a sacrifice. It's either because you choose to serve the Lord, which is, you know, or the community at large, the church, and you give up being married. I think marriage is the ultimate in joy and happiness on this earth. It's the most most intimate form of love that the Trinity has that exists. And people who say that it's not a sacrifice, I think are crazy.
Somebody disagrees?
I disagree.
Hi, my name is Steve, and I disagree with that point in the fact that being married shouldn't be your ultimate goal. You can be happy and full of life and really being committed to yourself, because being single does not mean that you're not in relationships. You are in a relationship with your friends, with your family, with other members of the church who you're trying to communicate and share your life with. That doesn't mean...
Yeah, but there's a very important dimension in that relationship, which is going to happen in marriage that's not in these other relationships.
True, but that does not mean that you cannot be intimate with another person just because you're single. And express that sexuality, which I don't mean by sexual intercourse, but in just expressing yourself and being really open to another person. I think that's one of the problems that, socially that men have a problem with, because they weren't raised that. And they're looking for that intimacy, and sometimes marriage seems to be the only way to get it.
Listen, don't go away, because we're coming right back with more of these questions and insights here on Forum. Before we went to our break, we were talking about the idea of, is marriage a natural call, like just a normal call for all of us as human beings, as men and women, or is the idea of giving up marriage a total concept of sacrifice? That, in other words, normally we should all be married. And if you're not married, you're either stuck in that situation or you make a voluntary choice, which is a sacrifice. Mary Ann.
St. Thomas Aquinas said grace works through nature. And I think if I'm saying, well, gee, I'd really rather be married, but I'm going to make a sacrifice. I'm going to make a big sacrifice, and that way I think I'm going to be pleasing to God, then we're kidding ourselves. I don't think God's asking that of us. A friend of mine, a French Jesuit, once wrote to me, God's not asking us to be heroes. God's asking us just to be a loving presence.
So you're saying if you want to get married, then go out and get married. And don't be a kind of a suffering servant type of thing.
I mean, besides the French Jesuit, which is a beautiful quote, you can also quote Jesus, I think, in the scriptures where he says, look, some folks get married and some are single for the sake of the kingdom, you know. But both is for the sake of something. Both are people who are giving of themselves to other. You might get married, you might stay single, but for the sake of the kingdom.
Well, that makes me feel good, I want you to know. All right, I'm glad you said that.
My name is Benjamin Jones. My question is directed to Father Henny.
Okay.
What is the most disturbing problem of singles who come to you for counseling?
What is most disturbing about singles that come to me for counseling?
What is the most disturbing problem of singles who come to you for counseling?
I would say that I can answer that fairly quickly by saying that there is the temptation that they have. First of all, there's the uncertainty, the ambiguity they feel about being single, the pressure that they feel from society and friends to get married, and the temptation of the things they have to do to themselves to get married. You know, compromising their personality, changing their personality to get a partner. That's a problem. It's a temptation that a lot of people have to, you know, really do violence to the unique individual that they are, simply to get someone else that they feel society is asking them to do, to get married, and not really being the person that God made, being themselves.
We have a question, another question over here.
I'd just like to make a comment on what he said. I think being married is a sacrifice, and if you're ready for it, then you should get married.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree with that. When I hear married people coming to confession, and I listen to them in confession, let me tell you, we're talking walking saints, you know? So if singles are walking saints, married people are walking saints too.
What are some of those problems in specific that you might say that a single might do to actually try to hurt himself or herself when they're, you know?
The temptation sometimes for a woman is to be more sexually active. The temptation for a man is to put on a front of machismo, wealth, and you know, look like a sophisticated person, and just really, whatever it is, to put on an act, to not be themselves.
We have another question?
Yeah, hi, my name is Susan, and I was just wondering, what are some of the emotional and spiritual needs that you, in your counseling positions, have seen that the single adult needs more than like a married adult or a single who is younger, like 18 or 19?
I could speak for my own transition, I think, in that way. I think even 7 years ago, when I was in my mid-20s, there was a feeling of, gee, what's the hurry? My whole life is ahead of me. So I was busy getting my education, and I ran a halfway house for 4 years. And now I'm realizing that the things that concern me are different. The questions I'm having to face are, for example, as a single woman, what are the economic issues I'm going to have to face? What are the economic realities I'm going to have to deal with as I grow older? What can family mean for me? Those are questions that I'm dealing with now that I don't think I had to deal with as much before.
What we're talking about here today, the single life is very represented in our society. I mean, there are places that are called, quote, meat markets, you know, where you go. And there are lots of single people there in these places. Now, obviously, you're not talking about those kinds of single people. I mean, there are bars for singles, and there are restaurants for singles, and there are clubs for singles. And you're talking about a different dimension of the single life. Am I right or wrong, or am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, that's correct. One point I'd like to bring up also is that if someone thinks that they want to be married down the road, that shouldn't stop them from living their life as fully as possible right now. And I think the Singles at the Choice program is reaching out for are people who are looking for this support of other people and looking for relationships, and we do look at relationships with family as well as new friends, and I think that's real important.
The name Choice, how did you come up with that name? It's got to have something to do with single life or something.
Well, actually, I don't know where it came from. The program was made up and written down and titled Choice by folks who were originally involved in Marriage Encounter. So it's an offshoot of that, but it's for singles.
Hi, I'm Irene, and I was wondering, how does a person know whether the single life is for them or whether the marriage life is for them? Because right now I'm 21 years old, and that's a little kind of a problem I have for myself, even after I graduate from college. It's very frustrating, and...
That's very difficult, and that's something that I think you have to discover within yourself, and by sharing with other people, and by sharing with people in the church too. And it also doesn't, it doesn't matter how long you're single. You can be a dedicated single for a short period of time or a long period of time.
Is this Choice program that you're part of, Rosemary, is it a place where single people can go, men and women, and share their frustrations and share their confusion? Is it a place where they can go and not just look for a partner, all right, choose somebody in Choice, but where they're going to get some kind of support? What I'm hearing is single people need some kind of support. They feel like they want to be supported and they're not weirdos. Is Choice going to do that for them?
Hopefully, if the person who goes on a Choice weekend is open to all of the things that we talk about, like communication and listening, with everybody who is in your life, then yes, you can find that support. And my experience has been, I've been involved with the program for many years, that people that go on the weekend and say, I came here looking for a marriage partner, they usually don't find it, at least not right away. It takes time.
I had a question for Father Haney. I'm a widow, and since I've been widowed for 10 months, I've decided I don't want another husband, but I know I am an intimate person. I want an intimate relationship. I have some male friends. I'm not speaking of a sexual relationship. My question is, I want to know if the church has changed its views on, for instance, situations like going away for the weekend with separate rooms or whatever my choice, morally would be. I have to answer not to you, for that. But what is the church's views on accepting me as a single person, but with an intimate friend?
Welcome.
Thank you. Do I have your blessing? I don't have that intimate friend right now, but I know me, I will.
Well, I mean, I think...
significant changes.
I mean, I think hopefully our church is the place that encourages one thing, people to love one another. Whether you're married or single, whether you're my age or someone else's age or your age or even as old as Father Kidney.
Excuse me, I'm telling...
I mean, at every age of our life, and I thought what Rosemary said was so beautiful, that even if you're single and you want to get married at some other time, that while you're single, you're still living a full life and exercising your heart as much as you can and being open to people. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Is the church today offering people opportunities, like in a formal way, to get together or whatever would be?
I think one of the, yes, they are, and it's different in a lot of parishes. One of the most threatening, I think, experiences is the place to meet single people. I mean, to go to a singles place can be very threatening because all the defenses and the acts go up. I found one of the best ways for young people to meet each other is by having a common project. Come together to the church and we're all going to do this project together. while we're doing this project together, you might get a chance to interact and meet other people. But the reason we're coming is to do this project. It may be to make lunches for Skid Row, or to go to an orphanage, or to work with some situation. I think one of the best ways is to go to a parish and join an organization that has nothing to do with meeting people. But while you're doing that project, you can meet others, and the defenses are not so clear in that situation. You can really get to meet people.
So you're not talking about yourself as a matchmaker type of thing. You know that on a weekend we set up a little party of singles in the parish and we're going to match them all together.
Doesn't work.
It's not that idea, right? But listen, we may have an answer for that, so don't go away, because we're coming back here on Forum after this little break.
If you would like to be part of our Heart of the Nation studio audience, call us at 818-848-5800 or write to us at Heart of the Nation in care of Tickets, P.O. Box 7851, Burbank, California, 91510.
We're back here in Forum in Los Angeles, and we're talking about the single life. And before we took our break, we were talking about the church providing opportunities for projects that might cause some kind of interaction. Now, my question is the church a matchmaker? Is that our job?
Not matchmaking. I mean, I'm bringing people together to relate to one another. That's different from matchmaking.
So in other words, we're not just out there to set these people up, kind of, you know, you're looking out on Sunday morning, you see Mary out there on one side, and you see John on the other, and you say, they'd make a nice couple now, and so we'll get them involved in a project together. It's not that kind of thinking.
That's not our purpose. That's not a bad thing to do. I mean, you know, if you may know someone who's looking, you can say, well, I know someone over here, but that's not our... I mean, basically the church is a place to come together to be a community. Maybe as a single, maybe as a married, but not really matchmaking.
We're going to do that here at the end of the show, you know. We're going to have all the single available guys on one side and single available girls on the other. We have a single available guy right here, and he has a question for us.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm a 30-year-old single. But the question I have as an adult, I spend each day working, and my social contacts mainly with people at work. How, like something like Choice, how would I find out about the more spiritual groups like that for as meeting people, or Choice?
The Choice Weekend, for example, is now listed in the directory for the Archdiocese. The parishes that we have advertised in would, if you called your parish, they might know about it. And there are also young adult parish programs, you know, like Father Dave's parish has. And I think the place to start is with your parish or with the Archdiocese or by
Gotta go. Start with your parish and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for being with us, all right? We want to thank the audience for your sharing with us today. And with God's help, if there were some singles out there today that are watching, maybe they found some support and some love and some places they can go. In actual fact, if you need some more information about Choice, feel free to call us here at Heart of the Nation, and we'll get the information for you. If you're single, and if you're out there by yourself, we want you to know that you are part of our church. You don't have to be by yourself. You do not have to feel lonely. You do not have to feel rejected. You do not have to feel not wanted. The Lord himself calls us to be who we are, whether we're married, whether we're single, whether we're celibate. The Lord calls us to be who we are. And when the time comes, we are challenged to develop into the people that we are capable of being. Whatever that is. It's a little bit like, you know, you gotta blossom or bloom where you're planted. Wherever we're planted, whatever it may be, whether it be a celibate priesthood like us, we must be a full, complete person that the Lord has called us to be. If you're a single person, develop into a full, complete person that the Lord has called you to be. If you're married, develop into a full, complete person that the Lord has called you to be. So there's no need to be alone. If you do have questions, however, we have people that want to share with you. Until I see you again, may the Lord hold you in the palm of his hand.